Hi,
Good afternoon. It's 2:25.
hi, this is Dan. Hi, this is Dan Kramer. I'm on two devices. I need to go from my laptop to a mobile. Could you promote me on my mobile so I can have the ability to participate or mute or whatever?
Mr. Kramer, I've done that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, it's 2:25 and I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the roll call of commissioners. After each commissioner, please reply here present and let you can hear and see me. We'll begin with Commissioner Ponce.
Hello, I can see and hear you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponce. Commissioner Hughes.
Present, I can see and hear you.
Thank you. And I'm here and present as well. In 2020, Governor Pritzker signed Public Act 101-0640, making certain amendments to the Open Meetings Act so that we, along with other boards and commissions, can continue to host virtual meetings during the COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One of those conditions is that Chairman Wong of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks determines that an in-person meeting on the Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee are not practical or prudent. Chairman Wong has determined, pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act, that an in-person meeting of this Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee is not practical or prudent. It is also determined, pursuant to Section 7E5, that because of the disaster as declared by the governor, it is infeasible for at least one member of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place for either meeting, in as much as there is no physical meeting place. Pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Commission on Chicago Landmarks on June 4th, 2020, regarding the chairman's emergency rulemaking powers, Chairman Wong issued emergency rules governing the conduct of remote public commission meetings and provisions for remote public participation, effective February 18th, 2022. These rules were posted on the Commission's website. In line with these rules, emergency rules, today's regular Permit Review Committee is the virtual meeting being simulcast to the general public via live streaming. Permit Review Committee meetings have been held virtually since May of 2020. Meetings are structured to minimize the chances for technical difficulties. Members of the general public have been encouraged to submit written statements in advance of the meeting, and these have been posted on the Commission's website and are available for public view during the Commission during the virtual meeting at www.chicago.gov/ccl. Per the emergency rules, verbal statements by the general public for all agenda items will take place at the beginning of the meeting. So all of those wishing to speak at today's meeting should be signed into the Zoom meeting at this time. Before we hear staff presentations on the agenda items and ask to hear from owners or applicants and their teams, we'll open the floor up to members of the general public who wish to comment about the items to be heard on today's agenda. Members of the public wishing to make a comment should use the raise hand function of Zoom to indicate that they wish to speak. Members of the public not using smartphone or computer and instead phoning in to the meeting should press *9 to activate the raise hand function and do the same to deactivate it. I, or the meeting facilitator, will call out the names one by one and unmute those people. Once unmuted, speakers should give their full name and organization, if any, they represent. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to speak. Once all members of the general public wishing to make a comment have been given the opportunity to do so, we will go through the agenda. I would ask that owners or applicants and their representatives, as well as aldermen, wait to speak until after staff presentations have been made on their agenda item. And I'd like to go through the agenda items to allow for public comment this time. The first and only item today is agenda item 1, the project at 624 West Fullerton. Are there any members of the general public wishing to speak on this item? See some folks here.
Chairman, I don't see any hands raised.
No? Okay. Seeing none, this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting, and we will go through the agenda, which begins with the approval of the minutes of our previous meeting, which is held on April 7th, 2022. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved, Commissioner Ponce.
Commissioner Ponce has made a motion. Commissioner
Second
Hughes,
it, Commissioner Hughes.
seconded by Commissioner Hughes, and this motion carries unanimously, and the minutes will be posted on the Commission's website. And this goes into our first project, which is 624 West Fullerton in the 43rd Ward, Alderman Smith, Mid-North District, proposed new rooftop addition with rooftop deck. And I'd like to call on Emily Barton for the presentation.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. So the subject property is located mid-block on Fullerton Avenue between Orchard Street and Geneva Terrace. The applicants are looking to enlarge their home by construction of a rooftop addition to accommodate 2 additional bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a conservatory attached to a new rooftop deck. So the applicant is proposing to add a new 3rd floor addition to the existing building, which is 2 stories in height with a raised basement. The addition is proposed to be set back approximately 17 feet from the front facade at its closest point. While initially proposed to be approximately 17 feet in height, the applicant lowered the roof height of the new addition to 12 foot 3 inches at its highest point to minimize the visibility, which you can see is reflected in the plans we're presenting today. Because of the wide side yard to the west, the most visible aspect of the new addition is the stair enclosure, which I've outlined for you in red on the plans. Visible stair enclosures have been approved in the past, so long as they're no taller or larger than is required by code. The applicant has lowered their stair enclosure to 7 foot 6 inches tall ceiling height to abide by this policy, and the enclosure largely obscures the remainder of the addition from the west. The addition is designed to complement the historic architecture while being simplified in design, and the entirety of the addition is proposed to be clad in a dark color fiber cement paneling. The building's existing side parapets range in height. At the front of the building, the parapet rises approximately 6 inches, whereas it's approximately 1 foot on the rear half of the building. This is because the rear of the building was an addition added on sometime in the past. The front parapet on the building is approximately 6 foot 6 inches tall because of the highly ornamental parapet. In order to further minimize the visibility of their new proposed addition, the applicant is proposing to raise the side parapets of the building to be 3 feet above the new 3rd floor. This is still considerably below the highest points of the front parapet. The extant side elevations are common brick, painted to match the face brick on the front of the building, and the architect has confirmed that they can match the existing color and texture for the new raised portions. The committee has approved the raising of side parapets in the past, and because in this case, the raised side parapets will match the existing side elevations and still not compete with the height of the ornamental front parapet, staff recommends approval as proposed. A roof deck is also being proposed in front of the new addition and set approximately 4 feet from the outer parapet to the east and 4 foot 6 inches from the west. Because of the modification to the parapet, the proposed glass railing surrounding the deck will not be visible from any point. So to decide whether something is in fact minimally visible requires the applicant to provide physical or accurate digital mock-ups for staff to review. While the physical mock-up focused on the view from the western side yard and was conducted when the height of the stair enclosure was proposed to be taller, the photos taken on site used in conjunction with the digital renderings provided help to illustrate the visibility of the new addition. So you can see from standing in front of the west side yard, at this point, the addition will be visible. However, it's largely screened by the stair enclosure and front parapet. In this vantage point, which is further to the west, the addition is entirely screened by the adjacent property. Standing across the street directly in front of the building, it shows that the addition is minimally visible, but again, largely screened by that front facade. And then from further to the east, you can see that the addition is minimally visible, but because of its setback, it's no taller than the decorative front parapet and is simplified in design so as not to compete with the front parapet. Based on the mock-up, digital renderings, and previous approvals within the district, staff recommends that the proposed addition will not have an adverse impact on the roofline of the building or overall district and may be approved. As proposed, staff recommends the addition be finished in a dark, non-reflective color to differentiate from the historic masonry, and that window details shall be submitted with the permit application. And I believe a letter of no opposition that we received from Alderman Smith's office was sent out to you this morning. We received it after the packet, so that's why you got it separately. If you have any questions, I'm here. We also have the homeowner, the architect, and their attorney.
Great. Thank you, Emily. Any questions for Emily before we hear from the owner? Seeing none, let's hear from the applicant. I believe it's Michael Hershenson.
And actually, this is Nick Fatikas. I'm the attorney representing the applicant. I believe the applicant had a possible childcare issue. So I do want to speak briefly. Are you still on, Dan?
I'm here. Yeah, I had
Okay.
I had to hop in the car and go pick up my daughter. So, but I'm here.
So make a brief statement that we did meet as part of Alderman Smith's process with the Park West Neighbor Association. There should be a letter that was provided to staff of no opposition for the program, again, as revised, what's being presented to the commission today. And based on that, we would ask for favorable consideration. If there are any questions, again, as Emily said, Dan, the property owner, as well as Michael, our project architect, are available to answer questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Fatikas. Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Hughes.
Yes, this is a beautiful property. I just want to go on the record to say that I have creeped our document files because it is gorgeous. And I appreciate that you guys are going the extra mile with preserving its character. Whenever you do that addition, whenever you add the additional parapet at the top, is there going to be some sort of detail that tells us where that addition happens? It looks like in the digital model, there was this ever so slight line that went through. Is that intentional, or is that just how it looks in the model?
That's unintentional.
Oh.
Probably we were trying to indicate, where the existing was, and so you could see the extent of how much we're going to extend it up. So I don't think we want any kind of detail there unless Landmarks thinks that's appropriate, and then we would do it.
Yeah, can you bring that up, Emily, the model? Not trying to deter away from, the front facade is like breathtaking.
Amazing.
Yes.
It's an honor
And
to
it
work
looks
on
like,
this.
yeah, so this line that's at the,
Oh,
basically
yes.
at the base of the tower, it looks intentional in the model.
We didn't mean that.
Okay.
So I think that best that we probably don't highlight the fact that, and it doesn't look
That
like
is
an
different, yes.
addition, but that's a very good point.
And are you guys, have you considered the parapet on the other side? Is it just going to be two different heights of parapet?
Well, the other side, we're joined up with another building there.
Yes,
So,
but there is still a parapet.
Right.
Which looks like, I can't point to it, but.
We actually would have liked to address that, but that would require, that would be an addition right on the property line, and we would have to have a variation. So we tried to stay away from that.
I see.
The actual addition is set back beyond the legal setback, and that requires no zoning relief.
Right. Okay.
And Commissioner, I think also there was, it was intentional for us to make sure that those side parapets, even when raised, don't compete at all with that front, which is why,
Absolutely.
we don't want to bring it up too high. This was our thought.
Yeah. Well, I commend you guys. I think this is a beautiful job, and a great compromise for the owners wanting to add more square footage to their property.
Yes, I might just quickly add that once we add this addition, the total square footage would be 4,475 gross, and we're allowed 11,374 square feet by the underlying zoning. So it's not a McMansion. We're not trying to stretch things. It's really a modest addition. And even though we're calling them bedrooms up there, for the future, they're really going to be, this whole thing grew out of COVID and needing office space. So those bedrooms are going to be used as offices. Right now, Dan's working out of the dining room, and his wife goes into the office. I think things are loosening up, but she was the only one going into the office. So this will be good for as we continue on with this pandemic. It's going to be useful.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's our new normal.
Isn't it terrible?
So you absolutely need that office space. But yeah, thank you for answering my questions.
My pleasure.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Any other questions? Seeing none, any points of discussion from the commissioners? All right, seeing none, I think I'd like to request a motion. Do we have a motion to approve the staff recommendations?
So moved, Commissioner Hughes.
Commissioner Hughes makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Yes, we have a second. Commissioner Ponce.
Commissioner Ponce seconds, and I am a yes as well. Motion carries unanimously. Great work, beautiful plan, and good luck.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that is all for today. No further business, and with that, I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Who moved? Commissioner Hughes. Second?
Yes, I second. I second the passionate so moved.
Thanks, everyone.
Motion carries unanimously. I'm a yes as well. Thank you, commissioners, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and have a great rest of your month.
Thank you.